Hello friends, welcome to Carolina's Cottage. This is Johnny. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm especially excited today to be collaborating with Teresa from My Greene Acres. It's a blessing to be mentioned on Teresa's channel today. We've all followed and been inspired by Teresa and her beautiful content. Make sure you don't miss a single video of hers. She also has a group on Facebook and Instagram, My Greene Acres. So make sure you follow her there. If you are coming to my channel for the first time today, welcome to you. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I have a few summer projects today. Summer is a good time to try a little more color in your decor, especially if you like cottage style. The pieces I've created for today's video are simple to make and inexpensive to make. So let's get started. I like the detail on this piece, and I'm going to use air dry clay and a decoupage technique to create a very classic cottage style piece. The first step is to create a good foundation. I'm applying this 2-in-1 primer since this piece needs both a primer and a bonding coat to help the chalk paint stick to the shiny surface. To create the clay casting, I'm dusting the mold with a little cornstarch to help the clay release from the mold. This is a Prima redesign mold, and I'll list it in the description below. Now you can press the clay into the mold in several pieces, or you can shape the clay into a longer piece and press it into the mold. Just make sure that you press the clay firmly into the mold to prevent breakage when you remove it from the mold. I'm using Titebond Speed Set glue. Then I'll let this dry for several hours. Make sure the casting is pressed against the decor piece, especially along the edges, since this clay tends to shrink a bit while it's drying. Apply a coat of paint or top coat to reduce the cracking as the clay dries. I always have a few cracks on the casting after it dries, but this is easy to repair with either a small piece of clay used as filler or by allowing the paint to fill the crack as you're painting the piece. I allow this to dry overnight and then make repairs to the cracks in the clay, then apply 2 coats of chalk paint to the entire piece. I searched through all of my decoupage paper and stamps and transfers for just the right rose decor for this piece. I did find this cute little rose on the Graphics Fairy, printed it out for free, and it's perfect for this piece. I painted the inside a contrasting color, and I applied a top coat to the inside and the outside, and that's all this piece needed. This next piece was the simplest and the cheapest piece to make over today. All I did to this piece was to apply a primer coat, 2 coats of chalk paint, and a top coat. That transformed this jewelry box into a cute cottage style piece that could be used most anywhere. Adding white pieces to our decor helps balance the color and softens the look. This small piece was the perfect size to use IOD's Farm Animals mold to transform it. For organizing my molds, I'm beginning to label each one with the name of the mold. It helps with identifying them in videos, and the basket helps me stay organized and feel stylish doing it. Some of these supplies can be quite expensive, but I've bought these things over time, and I try to buy the ones that I know I will use several times. You'll see that when I removed this from the mold, I think all but 3 legs fell off. It was an easy fix, but it would have been better if I just used a little bit more clay in the mold. And I will just follow the same steps as usual for these. I will glue these to the piece, making sure to check the edges for adherence. I'll make any repairs I need to. Then I will paint this with a coat of chalk paint and let it dry for several hours. This is a good time for me to ask you to please give this video a thumbs up. This really helps get my video out to more people on YouTube and to help my channel grow. And please provide a comment below. I love your feedback, and this also helps YouTube see engagement, so it does help my channel grow as well. Now, these funny looking little chickens you see here are a project that I'm working on for a future video, so watch for next week's video where you will probably see these little chickens. I will apply a clear top coat and an antiquing glaze. Then I will attach a wire to hang this with. This next piece is part of a vintage set of dishes I saw in Goodwill. I remember when most people had these. I'll use primer and chalk paint for a good foundation on this, and then I'll add stamps with roses to give this a cottage style makeover. When you're using stamps, you have to make sure that you are touching every piece of that stamp, and it's especially important when you're stamping a curved piece. I see that I did miss a section of this leaf on the top of the rose, so I will go back and add to that. I have another small jewelry box to make over. This one will get a primer coat to make sure there's no bleed through from whatever paint or oil is on it. And I'll add a bit of trim with air dry clay and a mold, then give it 2 coats of chalk paint. After allowing it time to dry, I will use decoupage paper to give this piece a cottage style look. I'll use a knife to miter the corners on this, and I'm using only part of this mold for the smaller pieces on the ends. Every time I use molds, I think of Myra, my friend over on Farm Fresh Designs 59, who I consider to be the queen of air dry clay and molds. She just has such a knack for creating a beautiful design and adding such a different look to pieces with her use of air dry clay and molds. This yellow is a color that I had in my stash and a little much for me. So I did tone this down by using Farmhouse Linen, dry brushing over it, and it still allowed that yellow to kind of peek through, but it wasn't as overwhelming. The decoupage paper is rice paper and very easy to work with, and I will provide a link to this in the description below. When you're decoupaging on a curved item, you are going to need to make a few clips and cuts in your piece to bend them around the contours of the curved piece. This will help them lie flat and prevent creases. The last piece is a makeover of a piece someone else had previously painted to use as a chalkboard. So I'm going to give this a complete makeover. I'll clean it up first, but it's your typical silver-plated platter, and it has a lot of stains, a lot of damage, and this old sticker on the back of it. This will be a simple makeover with simple steps, but it is going to be a bit time-consuming because of the size of the piece. This piece will also get a primer coat, 2 coats of chalk paint, and then I will be using IOD stamps to give this a different look. I'm also going to be using air dry clay and molds to add to the sides of this tray, and that's going to add to the cottage style look. The molds I'm using for the sides of this tray have cottage roses, and I think this is going to do a lot to give this a more cottage style look. I did find these molds on Amazon, and I will put a link to my Amazon page in the description below. I'm using 2 different molds for these cottage roses. The border of roses will be used along the sides, and the smaller rose bouquet will be stacked on each end near the handles to give the piece a little bit more detail. I'm curving these border pieces around the edge of the tray just a bit. I'll paint all the castings with a coat of chalk paint, let that dry overnight, and then give the entire piece 2 coats of chalk paint, then a top coat, and then I'm ready to add the stamps. Here's a reminder of what we started with for today's projects. Take a look at how they each turned out. I've given each piece a cottage style theme and fresh summer colors that I hope will inspire you and bring a fresh and relaxing feel to your summer decor. These pieces were inexpensive to create and easy to complete. I want to thank Teresa from My Greene Acres for allowing me to collaborate with her today. I think we all have watched and loved Teresa for a few years, and it's such a blessing to be mentioned on her channel today. Thank you all for watching today. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.